Hi friends, welcome back to the video. This class will be continuation of the last one in which we discussed the poem Prothalamion written by Edmund Spenser. So dear friends, today also we will be continuing the class that is on the same poem. Okay? Yes. And before we begin the class, let me tell you, in this class we won't be discussing the summary or the details of the poem Prothalamion. Instead, we will be discussing the simples, poetic devices, and such things used in the poem Prothalamion. So let's begin. At first, let's see what is the refrain used in the poem. Here, the refrain is "Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song." What is the refrain actually? Yeah, refrain is a repeated line, right? Okay, so this line has been repeated many a time within the same poem. So we can say it is a refrain, and the refrain is "Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song." Okay, fine. Move on. Now let's see the poetic devices used in the poem. And actually, we are discussing 14 poetic devices which we pick up from the or which we can see in the poem Prothalamion. So let's begin with allusion. What is an allusion? Let's see. Allusion is a figure of speech that makes a casual reference to a famous person, historical event, place, story, or work of art. Now you might have understood like what is allusion. Okay, here in this poem we have an example for allusion, and the best example is the noble peer. Okay, see the line, "Yet therein now doth lodge a noble peer." It's a line taken from the poem Prothalamion. So here the noble peer, it's just said that noble peer, no name is mentioned, but when we do the research we will understand that that noble peer is none other than Robert Devereux, okay, who was the Earl of Essex. So the noble peer stands as an allusion within the poem. Fine? Yes. Moving on. Next is analogy, okay, or we can say analogy. What is an analogy? It is a comparison made between two different things to show how similar they are. You may feel a kind of connection with a simile or metaphor. Okay, you are right. But analogy is a little more different from, it is different from simile and metaphor. Let's see what is the difference. Unlike a simile or metaphor, an analogy is more elaborate and informational. Okay, so it's not just like a okay, she looks like a moon. No, that's simile. It's not like this. Analogy, it doesn't mean like that. Okay, it is of course is a showing the similarity between two things, but in a different way. It's also in an elaborated way. See, let's see an example taken from the poem. Here's the line that like old Penus waters they did seem like old Penus waters. Of course, we feel a kind of okay. It can be simile, fine, but it's not a simile, but it's an analogy. Let's see how it is. See, here I have listed 10 lines taken from the poem. That is the from the 73rd line till 82nd line. Okay, 10 lines are mentioned, and all these 10 lines constitute this one particular analogy, that is the comparison of Thames, river Thames to the river Penus. Okay, so these 10 lines made up for one analogy, just not a one single line of simile or metaphor. These 10 lines is a package. Okay, all these when we read all these lines we will understand that okay, this river Thames is compared to river Penus. Okay, fine. So when you once you get time, you have to go through all these lines, and you will understand that how come this river Thames look like this river Penus. Okay, you have to read these lines, then only you will understand. We will understand that how it is compared. Okay, because of the don't you remember and how nymphs threw flowers at swans and the flowers into the river? Yes, and that's the portion over here. Okay, you have to read the lines and then you will understand. Moving on. Next poetic device is anaphora. Anaphora is the repetition of a word or expression at the beginning of successive phrases, sentences, or verses to create rhetorical or poetic effect. Okay, all these things are used just for the poetic effect or the rhetorical effect. Okay, yes. Anyway, it is the repetition of the word at the beginning of successive sentences or phrases. See, here is an example taken from the poem. And blessed plenty wait upon your board, and let your bed with pleasures chast abound. See, and this both these lines of the poem begin with the same word and. Okay, this is added for the poetic effect, for increasing the beauty of the poem. Okay, yes. So and is the anaphora here. Moving on, next is apostrophe. It is the figure of speech in which the poet addresses an absent person. The person is not present there, okay? An absent person or a thing or an animal, as if that person, thing, or animal is actually present. So that the material or the object or the animal is not present actually, but the poet addresses that person or animal as if that person or the animal is actually there. Okay, see, here's an example taken from the poem. The example is, joy have thou of thy noble victory. Okay, here don't you remember the noble peer? Yes. So here thou and thy, thou means what? It's actually the archaic form of calling, like, you, yeah. Okay, fine. You and your. Thou, you, and thy is your. Okay, so here it is actually that person's name or nothing is mentioned over there, but it simply said that the noble victory of yours noble victory. You stands for the noble peer. Okay, yes. So here the person is actually absent, but the poet is addressing that person. So it is an example of apostrophe. Okay, fine. Moving on, we have alliteration. Yeah, alliteration and alliteration, assonance, and all such things are very very common in any poem. Okay, so here also it is this poem is abundant with examples of alliteration. Let's see. Alliteration is the repetition of same consonant sound at the beginning of a sequence of words. So here we have to remember one thing. It is a repetition of consonant sounds that we already know, but that repetition should happen at the beginning of a word. Okay, see, here's an example. Here I have listed two examples that is taken from the poem. See, in which they gathered flowers to fill their flasket. It's basket only, but in the poem it is used as flasket. Okay, yes. So here we have this flowers, fill, flasket. See, at the beginning part of these words, fla, fla, fla. See, fla, flee, fla. So it's not a problem. Fa, first sound, fur. Okay, first the consonant sound over there. Flowers, fill, flasket. Fur sound. Okay, fur is a consonant sound. So that is the case with the first example. And the second one is, sweet tapes run softly till I end my song. So, sound. Sweet, softly, song, sound. Okay, is the consonant sound which is repeated in that same line. Okay, so this is an example of alliteration. Then comes the assonance. It is the repetition of same vowel sound in nearby words. Okay, it's a repetition of vowel sound. The other one was consonant sound, and it should come at the beginning of a word. But here we don't have any condition like that. It should happen in the beginning. No need of that. Let's see which are the what is the example. In sweetest season, when each flower and weed. See, here we have this sweetest, each, season, weed. See, e sound is right. Sweet, season, each, weed. See, e sound. E is a vowel sound repeated 4 times in the same line. Okay, understood? Yeah, it's a repetition of the vowel sound in the nearby words. Sweet, season, each, weed. Okay, the repetition of e vowel sound. Okay, moving on. Next is the consonants. Okay, consonants is, we can say that it's an exact opposite of assonance. Okay, not alliteration but assonance. See, The definition of consonants it is the repetition of same consonant sounds in a line. It's a repetition of same consonant sounds. Okay, so we can say alliteration comes below the, or we can say alliteration. The poetic device alliteration comes under consonants, because it is the repetition of consonant sounds, but it should happen at the beginning of a word. But here we don't have a condition like that. Just the consonant sounds should repeat. That's it. Yeah, you'll see, unlike the alliteration, here the same consonant sounds can appear at the beginning, middle, or end of words. Now you understood, right? Yes. Here I will give an example. Along the shore of silver streaming Thames. See, here we have silver streaming. See, sir sound, silver streaming, sir. Sir, consonant sound is repeated. At the same time, ming, Thames. You see, mer sound, mer. The streaming, we have this mer sound at the middle, and Thames, mer sound at the middle. So we have two consonant sounds repeated at the same time. Silver, streaming, Thames. Okay, fine. Sir, mer. Fine. That's the example for consonants. It's also, this line is also taken from the same poem. Okay, all these examples I have, the examples I have listed are taken from the poem. That's why I'm telling you this particular poem, Prothalamion, is abundant with the poetic devices or literary devices, and those devices are listed over here, so that you will get a better idea about the poem. And the next one is caesura. Okay, here, caesura refers to a pause or break in the middle of a line of poetry, usually marked by a period, comma, ellipsis, or dash. Okay, so here in a single line taken from a poem, within that at the middle, or just at the beginning part, or towards the end of the part, we can see, okay, not at the last point, but around at the middle part. Okay, we can see a slight pause, or a pause like, maybe like a period or comma or colon, semicolon, like that. So there will be a pause at the middle of the sentence. In that case, we can say it is an example for caesura. Okay, yes. See, in Latin, the word caesura means cut. That you have to remember. Maybe we will be getting a question like that. What is the meaning of the word caesura in Latin? Okay, then we have to say it is cut. And here is an example taken from the poem. To wet their silken feathers, lest they might. See, there we can see a comma over there, right? After silken feathers, we have a comma, then lest they might. So that comma, okay, that part is an example for caesura. Okay, yes. Fine, let's move on. Then we have this diacope. Okay, diacope, it's a repetition of same word or phrase with one or more words in between. So, repetition of word itself. That's not the sound. Repetition of word itself, word or phrase itself, and with a distance of two or more, one or more words in between. See, these are the three successive lines taken from the poem. Yet Leda was, they say, as white as he, yet not so white as these, nor nothing near. So purely white they are. See, white, white, white. White, the word white is repeated in three successive lines. White, white, white. See, so we can say it's an example for diacope, the repetition of words or phrases in a nearby distance. Okay, yes. Moving on. Next, we have this end stopped line. Let's see what it is. End stopped line is a line of poetry in which a sentence comes to a conclusion at the end of a line. Okay, so once the line of a poem ends, okay, one single line ends, it ends there itself. Okay, there's not like the meaning or the sentence run on sentences. No, it's not like that. Just as that single sentence ends there itself. Okay, so and one more condition is that that line ends with a period, comma, colon, or semicolon. Okay, yes. So here is an example. Fit to deck maidens bowers. So here we have a comma, so we can say that that sentence is an end stopped line. Okay, there is no condition like that it should end with a period. No, it's not like that. It can end with a period or comma or semicolon or colon, etc. So next line, see, against the bridal day which is not long. See that particular line of poem ends with a colon. Okay, colon. See, so whenever whenever a poetic line ends with a colon or semicolon or comma or period, we can say, or question mark. Okay, question mark or exclamation mark. Okay, anything, or ellipsis. Okay, fine, anything. So if a line of poem ends like that, then we can say it's an end stopped line. Moving on, this is the exact opposite of end stopped line. Enchantment. See, enchantment is the continuation of a sentence without a pause beyond the end of a line, couplet or stanza. Okay, there is no pause at the end of a line. See, here's an example. A gentle spirit that lightly did delay. After the word delay, there is no colon or semicolon or period or comma or question mark or exclamation. Nothing is there. Okay, this is a run-on sentence. Run-on. The meaning and the sentence, everything is moving to the next one, next stanza or next line. Okay, yes. So this is a perfect example for enjambment, and it's the opposite of end stopped line. Okay, fine. Yes. Moving on. Next poetic device is simile. This is very common in various poems, and you might be very familiar with this particular poetic device. Let's see once again what it is. Simile shows the similarity between two things by using the words as or like. Okay, you have to remember that if these two things are compared with by using the words as or like, then we can easily say that this is an example for simile. Here is an example taken from the poem. That they appear through Lily's plenteous store like a bride's chamber floor. See, like a bride's chamber floor. So here this like, that particular word itself, from that word itself, we can this comparison can be set as an example for simile. Okay, yes. And moving on, metaphor. This is again just like the simile, it is seen in most of the poems we often study. Okay, so let's see the definition. Metaphor is a figure of speech in which things are compared by stating that one thing is another. No, not like not like the case of simile. Just one thing is like the other one. No, it's not like that. It's exactly the other. We are saying like that. Okay, the one thing is another. Okay, fine. Maybe that two things are different, but we are saying at that moment we are saying that this thing is the other one. Okay, so here is an example. To merry London, my most kindly nurse. So here we are saying that London is my kind nurse. Okay, London is my nurse. So that is what, or London we can say London is my nanny, or London is my nurse. So here London and nurse stands as an example for metaphor. It is not said that London is like a nurse for me. It's not like that. London is nurse. London is my nurse. Okay, so here it is an example for metaphor. Moving on, and this is the last poetic device we are going to discuss in this poem. Personification. It is the process of giving human qualities to animals or objects. See, it is the process of giving human qualities to animals and objects. See, so whenever we are addressing an object or animal, and we are telling that this, see, we often say peacock dances. Of it is, this dancing is actually done by humans, and we are just saying that the peacock is dancing. Okay, or we can say the leaves are waving. Then we can say it's an example for personification, because of course it's a quality of human, right? And we are just attributing these qualities to the non-human things or non-human animals. So like that. Here is an example taken from the poem. To wet their silken feathers, lest they might soil their fair plumes with water not so fair. So here we are saying, here we are giving the attributes, human attributes to swans. Okay, swans in the river. Okay, fine, river, the river Lee. Yes. So we are saying that swans wet their silken feathers. Wetting is done by humans. Okay, so here we are seeing that swans wetting their silken feathers in water. Like, and also in the next successive line, it is said that the swans soil their fair plumes. See, soiling, wetting, and all these things. Okay, so these are usually done by humans, and human qualities are attributed to the swans, the bees, the birds. Okay, so we can say that it's an example or perfect example for personification. Moving on. Yeah, let's see the themes of this particular poem, Prothalamion. Here I have listed three important themes discussed, or we can see in the poem. First one is comfort of nature. At the very beginning of the poem, the poet says that poet is actually in a mood of tension, and poet walks along the banks of river Thames to ease his mind, to get some comfort. So we can say comfort of nature, the entire and environment, the nature, the meadows, river itself, everything, the nymphs, everything is trying to soothe the atmosphere. Okay, soothe the climate over there. So it's a comfort of nature, and even the poet is feeling happy inside, in that frustrated mood. Even his frustrated mood reduces, and he becomes happy towards the end of the poem. So comfort of nature is the theme. Comfort of nature is abundant in the particular poem. The next one is marriage. This actually, we don't want to discuss about the theme marriage, because this song itself is a wedding song. Okay, it's a marriage song. So marriage, the theme marriage is of course there from with the beginning towards the end of the poem. Then fragility of perfection. What is the meaning of the word fragility? Fragility means weakness, right? So in the poem, the poet narrates things, nature and everything in the perfect state. Like, even the sun is not that hot at the very beginning. It said hot titans, the beams of hot titans is cooled by whom? Do you remember? Yes, the west wind. West wind. Okay, yeah, you should remember. Okay, fine. Yes, it's the it is always it is said that is Sapphirus. Sapphirus is trying to cool the situation. Don't you remember? Yes, the west wind. Okay, so slight breeze is there. Then we can see the flowers everywhere, and then there is a there is nymphs who are collecting flowers. Then we can see beautiful birds over there. Then we can see two swans swimming on the water. So all these things, is exactly like a perfect nature. Is it what we see at the outside of our home's window? No, we can see a lot of chaos over there, right? Yeah, but that's not situation in the poem. In the poem, things are always perfect. Okay, it's actually a package of perfection. So we can say that itself is a weakness of the poem. That is why I told you it's a fragility of perfection. Perfection. When we take things to the supreme, we can say something is wrong with that, right? So the same thing, things are perfect in the poem. So that itself makes it's a weak point of the poem. So weakness of perfection, fragility of perfection. You might have understood what I try to convince. Okay, so let's move on. And these are the three famous. There are lot many themes within the poem, but these are the main important themes that we can pick up from the from the poem. And let's see the symbols. Yeah, these are the four famous symbols that we see in the poem in a single reading. Okay, so at first we have this Sapphirus, I told you it's a west wind, right? Yeah, it's a breeze, okay, wind. So Sapphirus is trying to cool the situation over there, the very beginning of the the very beginning of the poem. So Sapphirus is a great symbol that is used at the very beginning part. Then flowers, of course, it's out of question that if you say how flowers become a symbol. No, flowers is of course a symbol used in the poem. It stands for everything. It stands for the spring, and it stands for the beauty of nature, everything. Okay, flowers is of course a symbol used in the poem. Then swans is actually a symbol for the two brides, the would-be brides, the would-be wives. Okay, so those two brides, don't you remember, the daughters of Earl of Worcester? Yes, Elizabeth Somerset and Catherine Somerset. So swans are symbols for these two girls. And next one is Cynthia. Don't you remember Cynthia? Yes, Cynthia is the goddess of moon, okay, or moon goddess, okay. Cynthia is actually is a symbol, included in the poem, okay. See, and there's actually a comparison, the swans. The beauty of swans is just like the beauty of Cynthia. There is a line like that, okay. Moving on, so these are the main important symbols that we see in the poem. Yeah. Now we have go through almost all the points which we can see in the poem. Now I will ask you a few questions so that you can recollect the stuff we learned in the last class and in this class. Let's see the first question. Whose daughters are Elizabeth Somerset and Catherine Somerset? I answered this question a few minutes back even. So try to recollect. Who was the father of Elizabeth Somerset and Catherine Somerset? Yes, time's up. Earl of Worcester. Okay, you have to remember that. We may get a question like that. Earl of Worcester. His daughters are Elizabeth Somerset and Catherine Somerset. Moving on, second question. American-born British poet T.S. Eliot has quoted one of the lines from Prothalamion in his poem The Wasteland. And it is published in the year 1922. Okay, yes. So, which is that line? Which is the line, used in his poem The Wasteland? And which is the line taken from the poem Prothalamion? Which may be that? Think. Yes, it's the refrain itself. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. So it's a refrain, okay. And this particular line is used within the poem The Wasteland. Okay, you have to remember that. That is an important question, and we may get a question like that in the exam. And the third one is, which flower closes at evening according to Spenser? Yeah, in the point. That's why I always tell you that you have to go through the poem. You have to read the poem. Then only you can answer such kind of question. We won't be telling these single minute details in the summary. So we won't include such things in the summary. So you have to go through the poem. Then only you can answer such questions. Which flower closes at evening according to Spenser? Which one? Which one? Yes, little daisy. And the line is the little daisy that at evening closes. Now you understood, right? So it's a line taken from the poem. Little daisy is the flower that closes at evening. Okay, little daisy. Okay, fine. Moving on. Who calls Edmund Spenser as the poet's poet? At the very beginning of the class, in the last class, okay, don't you remember? At the very beginning, I have told you that Edmund Spenser is known as the poet's poet. And this name or this kind of addressing is given by whom? It is by Charles Lamb. Okay, Charles Lamb. So it is Charles Lamb who called Edmund Spenser as the poet's poet. Moving on. What is the color of Nim's locks? Lock. What is that lock? Lock is hair. Lock means hair. Okay, look, locks, the plaiting of hair. Okay, the curl of hair. So we can say locks are hairs, or lock means hair. So what is the color of Nim's hair, or what is the color of Nim's locks? Do you need a clue, or do you need options like blue, green, black, white? Yes, right answer. Green, right answer. Okay, so green is the color of Nim's locks, or we can say Nim's hair. Yes, Nim's hair is in green color. And the next question is, to whom are Elizabeth Somerset and Catherine Somerset going to get married? So, who are those bridegrooms? That is the question. Remember, try to remember. Two young knights which we see towards the end of the poem. Just remember. Yes, Sir Henry Guilford and William Peter. Okay, Sir Henry Guilford and William Peter. Okay, so these are the two bridegrooms of whom Elizabeth Somerset and Catherine Somerset. Okay, fine. And this is a small homework for you. Find out the connection between Zeus and Jupiter. Zeus and Jupiter. Okay, so you have to find the connection between Zeus and Jupiter. Zeus, do you remember? We have already seen who is Zeus, and this particular Zeus is mentioned in the poem itself, and we have discussed already. So you have to find the connection between Zeus and Jupiter. And once you find the answer, or once you find the connection between these two, you have to write your findings in the comment section below. So I hope you understood all about the poem Prothalamion. Thank you so much.